Hey guys, I hope you're doing well this week, getting everything set up. Let's talk a little bit. Death has come up quite a bit for many of the people in this group, and this is going to be a sensitive topic. So I just want to remind everyone to be respectful, to be kind to one another, to be supportive. And I want you to feel open to share what you're feeling and share what you're thinking, but also just be sensitive to the fact that some of the people in the group have lost people very close to them. And so this topic is very close to home and not an easy one for everyone to talk about. I have a terminally ill friend who has cancer of the lungs and the brain right now. And what's really tough about cancer, my mother was an oncology nurse, and I've had several family members who've experienced cancer. Some survived, some did not, and it's torturous. It's torturous. It lasts. It's not like a quick death. It goes on for such a long time. It's agonizing, and it's hard to be the supportive people in someone's life who are going through that too. You know, in many ways, it's different from being the person who's going through it, but also there's trauma that goes along with being someone who loves, when you love someone who's going through that process. The reason this comes up for me is because I lost someone a week and a half ago. This was a man who was really like a father figure, an uncle or grandfather figure to me. I grew up in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere. Didn't really have any neighbors, and we lived up on the top of this mountain, and he lived at the bottom of the mountain. And so we shared a driveway, a gravel driveway that would go up to our space. So he pretty much could always see when we were coming and going, which we hated as teenagers, as you could imagine. But we would spend a lot of time going down just to visit and hang with them and his wife, and spent a lot of time at his house growing up, spent a lot of time playing in the snow and sledding down his hill, and they'd bring hot chocolate out to us as kids. And so this live tribe is in his honor, and it's in the honor of anybody who's meant something to you guys. Let's talk about how we support people. Anybody in this group who has experienced some close deaths in the family or in your friend groups? So when you see someone going through something really hard and you want to reach out to them, what are some things that we can say? How do we support them to pick back up? Not an easy one for everyone to talk about. And once someone has lost someone, it's really hard. People do two very different things. I see people emotionally withdraw, but they're physically there. They get busy. They get busy with tasks. And then some people really have a hard time, so they start to distance themselves immediately. And again, we can all differ, and that's part of it. How can we help someone in the first year who's grieving? One of the things that we forget is that sometimes people want to be asked. Let's talk about it. It's here. And then to be able to ask, would you prefer if I hung around and we just chilled today? Or would you like me to take care of some logistics for you? Or would you really like some space? One thing that someone mentioned to me was they had a friend that wouldn't even ask. So their friend, instead of asking, would just say, hey, I'm coming over with some food. I got a pizza. And they would just come over and they would get the laundry started and they'd start cleaning her house. And just those types of things really helped. That's one thing. We forget that if it's someone who's not necessarily close to us, we're moving on, we're getting through our days, and that person is thinking about it every day. Reaching out on milestone days, holidays, school dances, anniversaries, all those moments when it's especially hard. And what do you say during those milestone moments? For me, it was telling stories. Like, you won't believe when he told me about this XYZ, or this time that he did this, it was absolutely hilarious. And then how do you keep checking in on them when they isolate maybe? Like, for example, I had a friend that was like, well, I'm not sure if you're going to be in the mood for this, but would you like to go to a comedy show? Hell yes. I need to get out. I need to laugh. I need to get my mind off things. It has been a rough couple of weeks. Yes, get me out of the house. And cry. You know, people who will say, oh, don't cry. We want to give people permission to cry. That's a healthy way of grieving. To be able to say, you have permission to still be sad. You don't need to be over it. And I've heard that a few times where it's like, well, it's been a year. And you all who've lost anyone knows that it never goes away. we get stronger, we get better at handling death. It never goes away. And so if someone 5 years from now is still grieving, to be able to address them with the same love and tenderness as if they lost that person the day before is really important. They're in you, whether they're your blood relatives or not. Every person that we've encountered has impacted us in a way that cannot be undone.